I'm so nervous and anxious to do this video. Holy shit. Hey guys, so today's video is the video that I promised you guys that I was gonna be doing on this guy that I was seeing for a while. I don't like to say dating or anything like that because god damn it. I just got myself into some shit. This video was gonna be a part of my Kyla's Chronicles series. It was gonna be like episode 20 or some shit like that, and I decided to pull from that and to share this experience with you guys that I had with this guy. I just wanna say, there were some things that I feel that I had done wrong. Some of these things were my fault. Some of them were not. The biggest thing that was my fault was that I continued to hang out with this guy and see him and give him the wrong idea when inside I was feeling uncomfortable. I was feeling like he was giving me a strange vibe and I wasn't sure if I should continue to see him. I was really, really lonely at this time period and very sad. I was drinking a lot and I wasn't making the best decisions in my life. I wasn't someone that I was necessarily proud of. So I do just want to make this known that I cannot put all of this on him. There are certain things he did that was completely fucked up and that was not okay. Well, one thing in particular, which will be towards the end of it, that was not okay in the least of it and that I was not responsible for and that was not my fault. But the one thing that was my fault was putting myself in these positions by going and hanging out with a guy that was giving me a vibe like he might do something like what he ended up doing. I'm going to put in a little disclaimer here because towards the end of this video, there is going to be something that is considered assault. I don't want anyone who's experienced anything like that, I don't want to ruin your guys' day and make you guys think about things that you don't need to think about. So just keep that in mind if you do continue with this story. But a lot of this I'm going to try and tell in a humorous way. Hopefully I don't get too serious in it because some of it was really funny, but that particular part was not. Another disclaimer being, when you do YouTube and you tell story times that involve other people, you guys have no idea how many of those people end up finding your channel and watching your videos. And he may know I do YouTube, I really don't know, and I don't know if he will ever see this. With that being said, in the event that the person that this video is about is watching this video, these experiences were something that I went through that I can share if I want to. They're something that it's from my perspective, the way that I thought and felt during this time, and it's something that I am free to share. And this isn't to destroy you or anything like that. This isn't meant for people that know who you are to think differently about you, etc., etc. Because to be honest with you, I already told our mutual friends exactly the thing that you did that made me feel the way that it did. But at the same time, you know that these things did happen and that this was something that did occur. And if you choose to watch this video, you're probably just gonna be hearing me say and explain how I actually felt during this time that I would never say to your face because I don't have any desire to ever speak to you because of something that you did. After I saw one of my favorite bands live for the first time, which kind of tainted that experience, to be honest. But anyways, I think that because he did end up doing something wrong and it was inappropriate, that doesn't mean that I can sit here and just act like everything was all him. Even though I don't remember things that I said necessarily around that time, I know that I probably did lead him on, and that's the tea. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this story time. Now, Mark and I had started dating in 2012, and we had a very rocky relationship at the beginning. We are completely comfortable with this now. I've said this before, that we've broken up 2 times. We were a rocky relationship. We were the relationship that, even though everyone liked us as individuals, did not want us to be together because we fucked that whole thing up bad. Mark will say he fucked the whole thing up, but I don't think that I handled everything the best way either. I think I was very immature and I was very stupid, that I said and did things that I shouldn't have said and done as well. Luckily, if you guys are curious, him and I have worked through all of these things. It has been so long, and anyone and everyone that knows us personally and knew us around this time will tell you we're completely different people. I know a lot of times when people hear that like you're in a long-term relationship and you've broken up, they always think, well, if you break up once, you should never be together again. Him and I had left a relationship. He was with someone and their relationship was really odd, and then I was in a 5-year relationship with my ex and we were actually engaged, and we split up from those people and went right together, and we had been best friends for 4 or 5 years, somewhere around in there, before we started dating. We knew each other really well, which meant we were very, very comfortable at the very beginning, and we just fucked changed the whole relationship. But on Valentine's Day of 2014, Mark left me to go to San Diego. That was incredibly difficult because I was absolutely in love with him and he wanted to live his life. He wanted to live his life as a single man, but the problem was that him and I shared the same vehicle, and I ended up saying, you know what, you can take the vehicle. I don't have a job right now and you're going to be working. You're going to need that vehicle. I was very stupid because at the time I probably should have been like, you know what, you can ride a fucking bicycle to San Diego, but I allowed him to take our car that had both of our names on it. During this time that this takes place with this guy, I did not have a vehicle. I relied on rides from family and friends to get everywhere. I was having a difficult time with the job situation because I had no way to get there. My dad did end up helping me get a vehicle and co-signing for me. That is still my vehicle to this day, so that I was able to get a job and able to support myself. But it was several months after Mark left with our car before I was able to do that. So during this time, I had nothing else to do but drink and spend a lot of time on the internet, and I did. I would sit on Facebook, which I don't even fucking use Facebook anymore, but I would sit on Facebook and I would talk to people and I would drink whiskey, I would get lit and live my best life, you know what I mean? And honestly, I was so depressed at that time that I just acted like a fool. Like, I was so depressed and so lonely that I would message anyone and everyone because I just wanted someone to talk to because I was so lonely. I was absolutely in love with Mark. I was so fucking ass hurt that he left, that our relationship was destroyed. I just wanted attention, and that's just the truth. And if you've ever been with someone and gone through a breakup, you might know what I mean. You get attention hungry because you are used to being with someone. Suddenly you're completely alone. You want someone, and then you put alcohol in the mix. I don't need to tell you how bad of a situation that was. We're gonna back up just a little bit to right before Mark and I broke up. So we broke up Valentine's Day and he left very shortly thereafter. I think it was like the 20th or something like that when he left to go to San Diego. On New Year's Eve, I had some friends that were having a little get together that they invited Mark and I to for New Year's. So we ended up going over there, and there was this guy that showed up there that I didn't end up knowing was going to end up being a story time on my YouTube channel in the future. And the only thing that I remembered about him from this night was he came in being very upset because he had some bad experience with this girl. Don't know what it is, and it wasn't my business to tell you guys anyways, but he had some bad experience with someone, so he showed up very sad. And I thought that he was being bizarre because he was going through some shit and was like getting shit-faced, and like maybe that wasn't the way that he really acted. Turns out it was. But one of my first experiences with this guy, I'm still with Mark at the time. Mark's in the same house that I am. I actually think he was playing like instruments with some people in the house, and I was sitting down at the table with my friends and this guy, and he just asks bluntly, all of us, if we have ever queefed. Now listen, I need to have at least spent 2 or 3 times hanging out with you before I'm gonna talk about queefing with you. I mean, I will talk about it. I'm not prude or anything like that, but bro, we just met and you just asked me if I queefed, and all I could remember was laughing. That was the first time I met this guy, and because of that, we're going to call him Mr. Queef in this video. Because these stories are from 2014, the timeline of them may be a little mixed up. I may remember one experience happening before this one when really it happened after this one, etc, etc, but I'm sorry, those details don't fucking matter. I'm not gonna pretend like I know or remember them, but I'm just gonna tell you a cluster of experiences that I had with him. I wish I could tell it more of a better flowing way where it all is like this happened and then this happened and then this happened, but I can't. But after Mark left, when I would spend time on the internet talking to people and trying to get attention and validation that I was worth a fuck, I can't remember the types of things that I said. I'm sure that I was flirting. I'm sure that I was seeking attention, but I do remember this one conversation. The first time I DM'd this guy and was talking to him on Facebook. Have not spoken to him since I learned his name was Mr. Queef. I remember saying something like I couldn't sleep or something like that, and he told me to come over to his house and that he would help me sleep. I think judging by that interaction, the 2 interactions that I had had with him. I should have been aware at that time the way that he was, and that maybe hanging out with him would get me some of these experiences that I'm gonna share with you guys today. But guys, I was so lonely that I would just brush off red flags left and right. Now, if you think it's normal for someone to ask you to come over to their house that you just spoke to on Facebook or whatever and you barely know, I am not shaming you. I know a lot of people like casual hookups, but for me and my personality and the conversation that we were having, it was incredibly inappropriate and very bizarre and weird, and I did not like it. I was not a fan. And it sucked because I remember in the conversation, him and I were talking and it was going really well. We were getting along and we were just having a chat. Don't remember about what, but I remember enjoying talking to him and thinking, yay, like I'm talking to this dude, I'm enjoying this conversation, you know, maybe we could see what comes from it, blah, blah, blah. But I'm the type of person where when you speak to me like that, I immediately don't want anything to do with you. I immediately kind of like clam up and I get very uncomfortable. But I just remember being like, damn it, like why the fuck did he have to ask me that? Like he literally ruined anything before it even began, because I do not like guys like that at all. But plot twist, I didn't stop talking to him. The next time I was talking to him, and the next weird thing that he did that should have been a red flag was we were talking and it was Mother's Day, and he was like, hey, you know, I'm having dinner with my mom for Mother's Day, you should come. I have not hung out with this guy since New Year's, and the first time we hang out, he wants me to eat with him and his mom for Mother's Day. That was so fucking weird. And I remember telling him, like, you should spend time with your mom, with just the 2 of you on Mother's Day. And I cannot remember for the life of me if this was the same day or if it was a different day, but I remember we ended up setting up this meeting where instead of me going and eating dinner with his mom on Mother's Day, which I would never do with a guy I've never hung out with before, or hung out with one time, or hung out with even multiple times, I still wouldn't go fucking have dinner with you and your mom. That's weird. Like, I'm spending Mother's Day with my mom. Are you crazy? He asked me to meet up with them at his mom's flower shop, which was fine. As you guys know, I didn't have a vehicle, so whenever I was hanging out with someone, they either had to come get me or I had to have my parents drop me off somewhere to hang out with them. It was a very embarrassing experience to have at almost 24 years old, but that was the life I was leaving because Mark took my fucking car. Fucking dick. I showed up at his mom's flower shop and we were gonna go hang out. When I show up there, I thought that we were going to get in the vehicle. I had no idea that when I showed up at his mom's flower shop that it was going to feel like she was expecting me and was excited and anxious to meet me. Like I was some girl that this guy had been talking to for a while and had been seeing and dating that his mom was anxious to see. Guys, this was so fucking weird. I walk into this flower shop and first of all, I walk in the back door on accident because it was an old business that was converted into a flower shop, and I thought that the door I went into was the front door. It was not. So when I walked into it, they looked at me like deer caught in headlights, like why the fuck did this bitch just walk in that door? And so I was really embarrassed about that, but almost immediately I just said his name. Gotta erase that out. Before I even had time to talk to Mr. Queef, his mom like kind of takes me and starts guiding me around the flower shop, asking me about myself and telling me all the things she wants to do with their shop. Super nice lady. I have zero bad to say about my experience meeting her. She was very, very kind. It wasn't her that was weird. It just felt like Mr. Queef had been talking about me to his mom and his mom was like meeting his girlfriend or something. Like that is exactly what it felt like. I remember leaving that day and after like being around his mom and that whole experience with it just being like really weird, like I'm here to go hang out with this guy that I don't know at all and get to know him. Before I can even get to know him, his mom is taking me off and trying to get to know me like I'm like this special thing that just walked in, like, oh my God, my son's girlfriend, so happy to meet you. Like that's what it felt like. It was weird as fuck. And so I immediately know he's been talking about me but making it sound a lot different than it really was. I remember telling my sister and my friends afterwards like how strange that was and like how weird I felt. I have a lot of anxiety and it just made me so incredibly anxious the whole experience. And I can't remember how these things lined up, but I continued to hang out with him. He bought my dad baseball tickets, which was really nice because my dad really liked baseball. And I remember when we left, we went to go have dinner together that night, and all day we had been hanging out and he was being normal, but this was my first experience with noticing like an incredible mood shift in him. We went to go eat at this Mexican restaurant and we're sitting at the table and I immediately notice that like as we go into this restaurant, he's just acting weird. I never figured out why, but it was almost like he got some sort of like bad news or something like that that made him be in a bad mood, but he was trying not to show me that he was in a bad mood, but it was like glaringly obvious. Like his whole personality changed, and it made me incredibly uncomfortable because I felt like, you know, this guy asks you, hey, you want to go eat with me after the baseball game, and you go to eat with them, but then once you're eating with them, you feel like he doesn't want you there. Like I remember getting that vibe. It was very, very bizarre. There would be other experiences that I ended up having where his personality would like shift from being super goofy and funny to all of a sudden, why are you in a bad mood? Like what the fuck happened? Do you know what I mean? He was doing really nice things, like getting my dad baseball tickets, thinking about my family and stuff like that. But now looking at it, it was like I barely knew him. He wanted me to meet his mom that quick. And then he wanted to meet my parents that quick. You haven't even taken the time to get to know me yet, and you're already trying to include the families and stuff. You know what I mean? Like when I look at it now, I'm like, this is fucking weird. Probably should have stopped hanging out with him, but I just thought he's nice, a little bit strange. I'm strange. It's okay. I'm lonely. We can hang out, no problem. So I went to go hang out with him again. Now this time, I don't even know if he did what he said he was gonna do. I have no idea, but he told me that our mutual friend that we were gonna go play games at their house together. So he came to pick me up. We go towards where their house is, and he starts telling me that they're not responding to him and we're gonna have to go to his house now because they're not getting back to him and he doesn't know what else to do. So I'm in this situation where I'm in this car with this guy, and now I have to go to your house because you're telling me that they're not responding to you, even though you could have told me that like way before you even picked me up that you weren't sure what was going on that day. You know what I mean? So we go to his house, and I told this experience briefly in a video that I posted on my other channel. That was me explaining the whole bed situation. So instead of repeating that, I'm just gonna take that exact clip and put it right here of me explaining what happened when we got to his house, because you guys, this was so bizarre. I'm gonna just put it right here and then we'll get back to it after. But I went to his house and he lived with his dad, and the first weird thing was that when I had showed up, he takes me in his room. He wants to show me how he can watch Adventure Time like on his computer for free with this website that he goes to. And I remember I knew how to do it, but I didn't want to tell him. Like I wanted to, you know, humor him. He was excited to show me how to look at this shit, and I didn't want to hurt his feelings and all that. He had all of his blankets and sheets ripped off of his bed and an entirely new bedspread, like in one of those like plastic things that you get from the store, like brand new, just sitting in the middle of his floor. So we go in his room and he starts taking this thing out of this clear thing, and I don't ask what he's doing. I'm just noting in my head, the sheets are off the bed. He's taking this new bedspread comforter thing out of the plasticky deal. He starts putting it on the bed, and it had all of these like fuzzy white things that were like stuck on it. So as he's trying to like make his bed, these fuzzy white things are flying all in the air, like literally looks like there's snow. I feel awkward because I'm thinking in my head, this dude bought a new bedspread for me. Like, does he think something's gonna happen? Like, it's broad daylight. You told me you wanted to watch Adventure Time. What the fuck's going on? And so I got really, really anxious and like nervous feeling, and I'm like, I gotta go pee, gotta go to the bathroom. So he shows me his bathroom. I walk in there, pull my pants down, and I go to sit down on the toilet, but I did not realize that my cell phone was still in my pocket. So when I pulled my pants down, I went to bend over to sit on the toilet, my phone falls in his toilet, and it makes this loud kerplink, and you hear the water fly up, the phone land in it, and I hear him in the other room go, oh shit. I'm sitting there. I didn't even pee. I just pull my pants back up. I'm holding my pee in, and I reach into this toilet and I pull my phone out. Obviously, it's not working. I still have that phone, by the way. But I was so embarrassed because he heard my phone hit the toilet. I hear him go, oh shit. And then I'm thinking, oh my God, he can hear me pee. It was like dead silent in there, guys, like dead silent. And the bathroom was like right by his bedroom. And I was like, if I pee right now, he's gonna hear me pee. If I don't pee right now, then it's clear I'm very upset about my phone falling in the toilet. I just felt like I don't know what to do. I take my phone out and I just walk out with my phone dripping with water, and I'm like, I dropped my phone in the toilet, and he ended up putting it in rice and shit. And then I eventually went in there and peed with literally everyone inside of the house being able to hear me because it was dead silent in there. And that was so embarrassing to me. Like, my face was red as a tomato. If you guys only knew. That was a really weird day. That was so incredibly weird because I felt like he bought a new bedspread for me, but I couldn't understand, like, if you bought a new bedspread because you wanted it to look all nice in here for when I came over, you could have at least made the bed. But it also made it glaringly obvious that at some point he wanted to go back to the house with me. And I never asked him why he didn't have anything on his bed. Like, I was just very like, if I had someone just show up in my room and they're like sitting in a computer chair while I'm making my bed with my new shit, like, I would explain to them why I did it if it wasn't anything weird, but he didn't say anything. So I'm sitting there feeling very uncomfortable. I'm in this house with him completely alone, and he's making his bed like he thinks something is gonna go down on it. And I just did not feel comfortable, and I know that it must have showed. I had this huge wall up with me in so many of these situations with this guy where he had to have caught my vibe on so many occasions that I felt weird. But like I said at the beginning of this video, the thing that I did wrong was I continued to hang out with him, and then I did this. Go Kyla, you guys are gonna be so proud of me. What I forgot to mention at the beginning of this video is that at the time, my favorite band was Phantogram. So way back before we ever even hung out, he ended up buying us tickets to go to Phantogram because he found out that I really liked that band, and I was totally cool going and hanging out with this new guy that I never hung out with before to see a Phantogram show, especially since it was my favorite band and he was buying the tickets. I was very excited about it. So he bought these tickets prior to me realizing like exactly how bizarre he was. However, I should have known he was strange because he asked me if I had ever queefed before the first time I ever met him. I should have fucking known, but I'm a dumbass. Also, maybe, you know, I can help you sleep. Do you want to come over to my house tonight? Maybe that should have let me know too, but whatever. I ended up agreeing to go see Phantogram with them, but it wasn't going to be for a couple months. And that was one of the things that we apparently liked mutually. And I don't know if he actually liked this type of stuff or if he acted like he liked this because he thought that's what I liked. One of the things that we talked about was we liked going to shows. Now, I did not like Kings of Leon, but there was a Kings of Leon show that was going to be happening before the Phantogram one. And he asked me if I would want to go. And I was not a fan of Kings of Leon, but I really liked shows, and I also liked the idea of getting out of the house. I liked the distraction. I wanted to hang out with someone that was going to keep my mind off of all the crazy shit going on in my life. So I agreed to go with him. And this was the night where I went wrong, and this does not excuse or defend any of the things that he did afterwards, but this did give him the wrong impression, and I understand that completely. So at this Kings of Leon show, I got really drunk and I made out with them, and then we went back to my parents' house and hung out in my room for a little bit. We didn't do the deed, but you know, there was a little something that went on in there I shouldn't have done for someone that didn't really know what they felt about this guy, especially someone like him. And he was really, really pushy, and this was something that I immediately felt uncomfortable about. Like, I remember he kept trying to push my underwear down, and I literally had to pull his hand away from my underwear. And if you guys never watched my Kyla's Chronicles before, then you don't know. I had a bad experience when I was 14 years old with someone doing something to me that they shouldn't have done. So if you're with me, you need to be like patient with me when it comes to that kind of stuff. And I remember him being very, very aggressive, but I do also remember him stopping. He did eventually stop, and so I thought, whatever, I will just let it brush past the fact that he was trying so hard to get my underwear off. I'll just let that pass out of my mind, you know what I mean? But I didn't want to do that. Like, I was cool making out with him. I didn't want to go further than a little touchy-touchy, do you know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to go further than that. I ended up telling him that I was tired and that I wanted to go to sleep and that, you know, he should go home, and he did. And I remember having regrets that night, like feeling like fuck, because he was giving me a vibe like he liked me, obviously, and I felt like he was really, really bizarre, but I felt like I did things I shouldn't have, and I went a little bit too far with him than I would have liked to have gone. But when I did that, it did kind of start muddying my brain a little bit, and I feel like I continued to hang out with him more because I wasn't sure if I liked him. I was like, you know, if I made out with him and did all this stuff, like, does that mean that I like him? And I thought that he was really cute too. Like, he was a good looking guy. He wasn't ugly at all, but I felt like really weird around him sometimes. Like, if he didn't exert this really weird vibe and like say uncomfortable things and give me a weird vibe, then we probably would have gotten on a lot better. But that weird vibe that he put off, like I could not shake the way that it made me feel, and it really clouded my brain when it came to getting me to a place to where I could really like him. Do you know what I mean? But having that experience with him after the Kings of Leon concert really like confused me, and I was like, maybe I kind of like him, I don't know. I thought he was cute, we got along really well, we had fun, and so I thought maybe I liked him, but it wasn't easy for me to just be like, I really like him. And I remember telling him after the Kings of Leon show, I remember saying, you know, I just want to be friends. I am still trying to get over my breakup with Mark. I am not ready for anything serious, and I had to have that conversation with him because I didn't want what happened after the Kings of Leon show to happen again. I just felt weird about it, and I really wanted to be able to figure out what I wanted and what I thought and felt, and I wanted to get to know him a lot better. One of the last times that I hung out with him, the time before the Phantogram concert, he found out that I had never had Chicago style pizza, and he apparently loves Chicago, so he organized this entire day where we were going to go hang out at our friend's house. We were going to have a Chicago style pizza that he had mailed from Chicago, deep dish pizza. They literally mailed it to him in freezers or freezer bags or whatever the fuck you call it, and we were going to binge Harry Potter. Now, I was super excited about this. I thought this sounded so fun. I thought it was really sweet that he put all of this together. At this point, he knew that I just wanted to be friends. Just being friends means we can still hang out, but we're not gonna be anything other than friends. I made that clear. I was not over Mark at all. I could not start a relationship. So when he wanted us to all do this and hang out, I thought that that was really fun. Now, there was no harm in it as well because my other friends were going to be there. So we all go to my friend's house to have this day, and while we're watching Harry Potter, me and my friend were like laughing, we were eating pizza, we were having a good time, and he got incredibly irritated. I had no idea what he was mad at. He ended up leaving and not coming back for a while, and every time I tried to ask him what was wrong, he didn't tell me. Well, it turns out he got mad because I was talking to my friend. He did not want me to talk to my friend while we were watching Harry Potter. He had this whole plan in his mind that I apparently was going to sit there, glued on the TV, watch Harry Potter that I've seen 1,000 times, and not talk during the whole thing, and eat pizza, and I don't know, like have my fucking thumb up his ass. Like, I don't know what he expected, but he got mad at me that day. I wasn't doing exactly what it was that he wanted me to do, and the only reason why I even found that out is because when I told my friend some of the experiences that I had had with him after we stopped talking, she told me that he got mad that day because I was talking to my friend during that Harry Potter thing. The day didn't go the way that he had it planned, that it went different, and I didn't react to the way that he wanted me to, which is classic manipulating, controlling behavior. You do something nice for someone, and when they don't do everything exactly the way you want them to, you get upset at them for it. Like, I don't know what his plan was for that day. I don't know if he thought that was gonna make me fall in love with him or something. I have no idea, but it's like, I thanked him for the pizza. I loved that movie. I was so excited about it. You could tell I was excited. I was having a great time. But because I was laughing with someone else other than him, he was mad about it. Now, the last time we hung out was the Phantogram concert. I had opened up to him prior to this show about a breast cancer scare that I had. Now, this was something that I didn't tell a lot of people. My friends didn't even know this. This was something that my family knew, and we were at a level in our friendship where I felt comfortable enough to tell him. I thought we were friends. I thought it was information I could share with him. I was going through a lot at the time. I was genuinely scared I had breast cancer, which is something I do want to do a story time about as well. And it was something that was really scary for me, and I had just told him this before we went to the show. I've been being really weird lately. I went to the doctor. They told me I might have breast cancer. I have to go for ultrasounds and all this stuff. I'm scared, blah, blah, blah. And I talked to him about it, and I cried about it. I was visibly upset about it. It was something that was really hard for me at the time. You know, I was going through this breakup with Mark that was absolutely devastating me. I had no car, I had no job, and then I find out I might have breast cancer. Well, after I told him this, and you know, he seemed very understanding and consoling, and he was there for me on it, and it was great, and I felt like that was like a really good like bonding experience like in our friendship. Well, we went to go to this Phantogram concert, and the show was amazing. I had never seen them before, and I loved the band, absolutely adored them. They're still one of my favorite bands. They have the most unique music. If you've never heard it, definitely listen to them. But I was so excited to see the show. Like, I had been looking forward to it, and it was so nice of him to get us these tickets to go see them. This whole day he was being a little bit weird. And he actually asked me that day about Mark because he saw on my phone that like Mark was texting me and stuff. And so I remember him asking me about him, and I remember him asking me like, what's he doing for work now? Are you guys talking? Like blah, blah, blah. And he knew the stuff that we had gone through and shit like that. So he knew the situation. We talked about Mark a little bit, and we went in, we saw the show. Show was amazing. We go to leave. And I remember that I had posted a picture of Fantagram on my Instagram, and I tagged Sarah and Josh in it, which are the two people that created the band. And I remember Josh liked my photo, and I was so excited. I remember we were pulling up to this stoplight, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited. Josh from Fantagram just liked my picture. Oh my God, he's literally like right over there. He just liked this photo. Like I made eye contact with him so many times during the show, and I'm just like going on about how amazing this experience is, how excited I was. And Mr. Queef seemed really excited. He seemed like he was in a really good mood, and we were just being goofy, having a great time. I'm on my phone, like scrolling through, just going on about how pumped I am. We were talking about how we're gonna go to McDonald's to get a snack. For some reason, men seem to think it's okay to do things like this without your permission. Even though it had been like a month since the Kings of Leon concert, we had had zero interaction. I had not kissed him. I had not groped him. He had not groped me. There was nothing that had occurred. Had not kissed him at the show whatsoever. I don't know if in his little brain he thought that because the last time I went to a show with him, I made out with him and we went too far, that he thought that he could just do this. I don't know. I don't think a grown-ass fucking man should ever think that this is okay. I don't know what was going through his head, and frankly, I don't give a fuck. But I'm sitting there thinking about Fantagram. Nothing sexual is going on whatsoever. No sexual conversations. There was no kissing, no groping, nothing. I'm not even looking at him. And he reaches over and grabs my fucking tit. Like he owns it, like it's his, like he's allowed to do that. And I remember in my head, like I got really, really hot. Like I felt the like fire like grow up in my stomach. I didn't know what to do. We're like an hour and a half from my house. I have to be in a vehicle with him for an hour and a half after he did that. I didn't know what to do. I honestly can't even tell you what I said. I know that I laughed awkwardly. I know that I felt awkward. I know that I was really quiet on the drive home. I know I ate French fries and I didn't talk a lot, and I kept telling him that I was tired, when really I was so upset and confused. I did not understand for the life of me why someone would think that it was okay to just grab me, to just reach over and grab my boob. I had just told him that I was scared that I might have breast cancer. And then the part of my body that I am feeling the most vulnerable with, you think you can reach over and grab me. I was absolutely mortified. I felt embarrassed. I did not want to be in the car. I was so uncomfortable. And that was the last time I hung out with him. I remember he pulled up at my house and I told him that I didn't want him to come in because I was really, really tired. And I went inside and I typed up a message to him that I couldn't believe that he did that. And that the whole ride home I was upset and I was very just appalled that he had done that, that was completely inappropriate. And I think I said something to the effect of, I don't know what I did to make you think that. That's weird because that's been up there for a while. But I remember saying something to the effect of, I don't know what made you think that you could do that, like what I did that made you think that you could do that, but I'm upset about this. I'm mad. This is why I didn't want you to come in. Him giving me like a bullshit apology about how he thought it was okay and blah, blah, blah. I honestly can't remember what he said. I just glazed over. But I remember that night I got on the phone with Mark because we were talking as friends and kind of mending our friendship a bit. And I just remember crying on the phone with him and telling him what Mr. Queef had done. And I remember Mark getting so fucking mad, and he's like, you better never hang out with that guy again. You better never hang out with him again. Like, he just assaulted you. Like, I wanna fucking kill him. Like, I just remember he was so mad. And ironically, I feel like that experience is one of the things that kind of brought me and Mark back together, really was going out and experiencing life without each other, experiencing other people, going kind of back out into the dating field, living without each other, and always still wanting to be with each other and talk to each other, and nothing and no one was ever better than each other. It was always just, we need to get our shit together and be together because we're in love. And I just remember thinking in that moment, like, this is what a man is supposed to be like. A man is supposed to be like Mark, to know that it's not okay to reach over and grab someone without their permission, to want to defend women who are treated that way. Like, that's a man. What this guy is not a man. And I just blatantly ignored him for a while after that. But I remember there was this one night where I kind of missed him. It was really weird. It was like we had a lot of fun together. He was someone I thought was my friend, and at one point thought I might be able to like in that way. We had a lot of fun together. So I remember I kind of talked to him again and him telling me he was really upset that I had ignored him. I actually think he had deleted me off of Facebook, and then me like messaging him and being like, why'd you delete me, blah, 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 and him being like, because, you know, I don't like being ignored, which now I'm like, well, fucking duh, you got ignored. You just assaulted someone. Of course I ignored you. And I remember we talked and we set up a time to go hiking together, and he actually bought me hiking shoes to go hiking with him, which was really weird. So I remember him asking me to go hiking and me telling him I don't really have any hiking shoes, and him being like, well, I'll buy you some. The morning that I was supposed to go hiking with him, I couldn't do it. I felt nervous as fuck and it just felt wrong. I was like, this guy assaulted me, made me uncomfortable, and I'm gonna go hang out with him for what? Because I'm lonely? Because when he didn't assault me, that I had fun with him? Because when he wasn't being weird, he was kind of cool? Like, why am I going to hang out with this person that has shown me all of these negative traits about them before? Their mood swings, their controlling behavior where you better feel what they want you to feel in the moment or they're gonna be upset. Their aggressive pushiness. Like, I remember this one day, walked into his house, zero exaggeration, and he takes me and he shoves me against the wall. You know, like when you're watching movies and someone shoves you against the wall, like they're gonna start like making out with you, like all romantically, like as soon as you walk in. He did that with me at one point, and I forgot to tell you guys about that experience. He did that to me as soon as we walked into his house one day, after I told him that I just wanted to be friends, and I just remember like turning my head and like being like, oh my god, like what the hell? But in my head I was thinking, the fuck? In that day, that experience, that happened, I ended up texting my friend Ariel and being like, can you meet up with me somewhere? Like, I need you to meet up with me. Like, this guy's making me uncomfortable, blah, blah, blah. I don't know why I forgot to tell you guys about that experience. He continued to do things that made me so incredibly uncomfortable, and I was so insecure at the time and so fucking desperate to have a friend, to have someone to hang out with, to feel loved and appreciated, that I was willing to put myself in a position with someone that did really weird things, you know what I mean? And some of these stories, when you tell them, it's funny. Not the assaulting ones, but some of the ones like with the bed, like it's funny, but like these are like, it's so weird to me how I could experience some of the things that I did and think that it was okay to continue hanging out with that person. And I truly think that it is our society and the way that it is it makes men think that it's okay to do things like that, and it makes women feel like they're responsible when those things are done to them. It beats insecurity into you, and it makes women continue to hang out with men that treat them like that. Like, oh, well, he's nice sometimes, or oh, well, he's cool most of the time and he only assaulted me once. I'm gonna give him a second chance. Like, he did it one time, he said he was sorry, maybe he won't do it again, and continue to put yourself in positions that make you feel uncomfortable. It's crazy because since then, the people that we used to hang out with had deleted me on all social media, and I have no idea for the life of me if it's because of him, if it's because he told them stories and then I led him on and that I dropped him like a hot potato. Because I did. I just stopped talking to him without any explanation. I just completely stopped talking to him. Honestly, after what he did, he deserved it, and I feel like stupid that I ever felt bad about it. At the beginning of this video, I said that I felt responsible for certain things, and that was putting myself in the position of hanging out with someone that made me feel that way. I should have never hung out with him again. It was my fault that I was in the situation where that ended up happening because there were red flags. I told many friends that there were red flags. I would leave some of these times we hang out and be like, he did this, like what in the fuck? Like, he's so weird. Like, I would leave thinking that way. And then I would continue to go hang out with him like a fucking idiot. I definitely learned from that experience, like, you don't hang out with just anyone just because you're lonely. You don't do that. And you know, I know that a lot of it had to do with the fact that I was going through a breakup. My emotions were weak at the time. I was drinking a lot. I acted like an idiot. I initiated kissing him the first time. I'm the one that did that. I acted like a fucking fool. But at the end of the day, regardless of any of that, you never grab someone without their fucking consent. And if they stop talking to you after you've done that, you can't get mad at them for that. That's your fucking fault. I originally wanted to tell a part of this story in a funny way, but I feel like there was a lot of lessons in it. If someone's giving you red flags, just don't bother with them. Don't keep giving them a million more chances. No, like, don't hang out with people like that. And if you know anybody that makes you feel that way and you have things about them that you're not willing to let go of, you should probably let it go. You should probably stop hanging out with them. You should probably stop speaking to them and being around them before they do something like what happened to me, or even worse. You have intuition for a reason. You have these things built into you for a reason, for a purpose. You are feeling the way that you are because your senses are trying to protect yourself. So always go with your instincts. They will protect you. They will save you from so many mistakes and from so many tears. Trust me. Stuff like what I've had happen to me, I've been assaulted on multiple occasions, and that doesn't always happen. There's some women that somehow get through this shitty life without being assaulted, but I've had multiple assaults occur because I allowed myself to be around people that I shouldn't have been around. And had I been listening to myself, those things never would have happened. It's still not my fault, but you should always protect yourself. I am gonna go ahead and wrap up this video because I've been talking for a couple hours. I've filmed 3 videos today. Yay for me. I hope that you guys will subscribe to this channel. If you watch this video all the way through, leave a bed emoji down in the comments because this guy was really fucking weird and changed his sheets right in front of me, thinking that we were gonna fucking get it on like Donkey Kong in his bed. I don't fucking know. Leave that down in the comments. Lets me know that you guys finished the video all the way through and that you guys enjoyed it. And if you subscribe to my second channel, thank you guys so much. I think we're gonna have a lot of fun over here. I'm gonna have a lot more story times like this. Let me know if there's anything that I mentioned in this video that you would like to hear a bigger story time about, like my breast cancer scare where I thought that like I had breast cancer. It was very terrifying. If you would like exclusive content from me on a lot of very personal things that are going on in my life right now that I'm not able to talk about publicly, I have a Patreon. I just have a $10 tier and you get a ton of exclusive content from me, and it also helps support me and Mark in the process, which is so appreciated. But either way, even if you don't join, you guys are going to be getting content weekly, and I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope that you guys enjoyed the one that I posted on my other channel too about Post Malone, because we love Post Malone in this house. Let me know what my intro and outro should be in my next video, but for now we're gonna leave it simple. I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace. What the fuck?